Inflation is like a thief, quietly stealing the value of your savings over time. But here's the good news, you can fight back. In this video, I'm going to share practical steps to help you protect your money from inflation and even grow it so you can stay ahead. Let's get into it. Protecting your money from inflation starts with these key strategies. Number one, invest in assets that grow faster than inflation. Now, the obvious one here is investing in the stock market, which is what I do. Historically, stocks have grown faster than inflation, making them a powerful tool for long-term growth. And if you've seen some of my videos before, you'll know that I love index funds as a beginner's tool to get involved in the stock market. And actually, not just as a beginner's tool. I've been investing in the stock market for years, in fact decades. I love index funds to this day. Frankly, because picking individual stocks is risky and investing in the stock market, the full index of the stock market, well, that's a no-brainer for me. Another way is considering inflation-protected investments. And technically speaking, not all of these are inflation-protected, but they often do act as a hedge against inflation. One example is inflation-linked bonds. Now, I see these as crucial for beginners because they help safeguard your money's value as prices rise. For instance, when inflation surges, inflation-linked bonds adjust their rates of return to keep pace, making them an effective tool to preserve purchasing power. A specific example for UK-based investors is the Vanguard UK Inflation-Linked Gilt Index Fund, which tracks bonds designed to rise with inflation. This can serve as a solid foundation for those starting out. And notice I said solid foundation, I didn't say exciting foundation. Bonds aren't exciting, but investing isn't necessarily about being exciting either. If you want excitement, go and do some trading, or better still, play a video game. Then once you're done, come back to this video. These are government bonds that just adjust with inflation, so their value rises as inflation does. And then of course there's property. Real estate often grows in value over time, often keeping pace or outstripping the rate of inflation. Now, like everything, it isn't risk-free of course. Even in your lifetime, you will have seen property prices decline fast, but over the long term, prices have consistently risen. And when I say long term, I mean 10, 20, 30 plus years. And this is true particularly in city areas. Property investing can be challenging for beginners, particularly for those who don't have huge amounts of money or large sums to invest. But there are other ways to get involved as well. Real estate investment trusts or REITs or property crowdfunding sites, sometimes called fractional property investment sites, can provide a more accessible way to enter the market without needing to purchase a property outright. If you're just starting out, and in some cases even if you're not, diversifying your investments can always be a good strategy. I don't like to put all my eggs in one basket. I like to spread my money and my investments over several asset classes to reduce my overall risk to one asset class. If one asset class fails, I don't lose everything. I lose a little bit, but everything else still grows. This is how I treat my investments because I'm not an expert in any one investment class. I dabble in all of them and I get to know each of them better and better every day, but I'm not an expert. In my job, in my business, I am the expert and I go all in on that. I don't necessarily diversify unless I want to learn a new skill. But with my investments, I do practice diversification. Now it's time to talk about making your savings work harder. If you're not ready to invest yet, there are still ways to reduce the impact of inflation on your savings. First, choose high interest savings accounts. Look for accounts offering the best rates to minimize losses to inflation. You can also take advantage of fixed rate savings accounts. These typically offer higher rates of interest for locking your money away for a set period. In some places, these are called fixed deposits. But the main thing I'm trying to say here is shop around. Don't settle for low interest rate accounts. Compare rates regularly, at least once a year. Even if you don't end up switching, because let's be honest, switching for 0.25% of a difference can be a bit of a hassle. But if the savings rates have moved by 1, maybe 1.5%, it may well be worth your while considering the switch. The next thing to talk about is creating an inflation-fighting budget. And really, all I'm talking about here is sorting your spending habits out. Your spending habits play a big role in protecting your money. The biggest one is cutting out or avoiding waste altogether. Something I like to call a leaky financial bucket. Sort your leaky financial bucket out. And this is cutting unnecessary costs. Unnecessary to you, not to anyone else. Like cancelling those subscriptions you no longer need or use. Or negotiating lower bills to free up money so you can save more and invest more. For your future self, no one else's. Also by buying smart. Use cashback sites. Use cashback cards. Take advantage of buying things when they're on the cheap. For example, when it comes to Black Friday, I will have already made a list of the things I've stopped buying in the last month that I'll wait till Black Friday to buy. This way, I buy the things I need on the day they're the cheapest, rather than buying something I don't need just because the price is low. And I adjust my planning fairly regularly, particularly when prices are rising. This way, I know what I'm spending and my financial goals are always on track. Thinking long term is a great strategy as well, because beating inflation isn't about quick fixes. It's about building a solid financial strategy, and that sounds way more complicated than it actually is. People think, oh my god, he's going to talk about strategy and it's going to get complicated, and well, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about setting clear goals. Know what you're saving and investing for, and you don't have to get super complex here. These goals can range from simple short-term targets, like saving for a small holiday, building up a contingency fund, or achieving just £1,000 in savings. Or they can be more ambitious ones, like getting to £50,000 in investments, or buying a home. Remember, like I say in this video up here, start small and scale your goals as your financial situation improves. Stay consistent. Regular saving and investing, even small amounts, adds up over time. And continue educating yourself with me or anyone else. Ask questions. No question is too stupid. If you've got it, loads of other people will have it as well. It essentially comes down to this. The more you understand money and inflation, the better decisions you can make. Inflation doesn't have to be a silent killer of your wealth. With the right strategies, you can protect and grow your money for the future you want. Start small, stay consistent, and remember, every step you take today brings you closer to financial security. If this video has helped you in the slightest, share it with someone else you think may need it. For a deeper dive into how inflation works, check out my previous video over here. It'll give you a solid foundation to understand how inflation works and how to tackle it head on. I'll see you there.